wasn't a client, but I was actually downtown Denver in an older neighborhood that I'd never been to before for a meeting with my husband. But part of Denver I've never been to. And as we're driving to this person's house, I see this like memory imprint of something that looked like it had happened a long time ago. Basically these old looking cars, old timey cars that had running boards. And there was what looked like very well dressed gangsters basically doing a drive-by shooting in a residential area. So that was weird. It was in a really localized area. I tell my husband what I'm seeing. He, of course, doesn't believe any of this. He's like, yeah, whatever, you're a weirdo. So we get to this guy's house, a very nice, awesome little house, super cool, little old neighborhood. And we're sitting in the living room. I don't know most of the people that are there. I was along for the ride. It was a Saturday afternoon. And I see this woman who's not alive in the kitchen, and she kind of leans out and she looks at me and she waves, and then she kind of goes like this. So I get up under the pretense of going into the kitchen to get a drink, and there's a woman standing at, well, I could see the kitchen the way it looked when the house was built. It didn't look, I mean, I could see what it looks like now, but the kitchen that she was standing in looked like it did when she lived there. So she was standing at a very old looking stove where the sink now was. And she's saying in broken English, you come in, you come in. My husband be home soon. He working at the ships. He working on the ships. And there are two little kids playing on the floor, just playing with toys on the floor, and she's cooking or doing whatever she was doing. Well, we're in a landlocked state. And she made it sound like the way that she was showing me was that he would come home every other week or I don't know. It's like he worked wherever he worked there. He would go there and stay there, and then he was allowed to come home for a little bit of time, and then that process would repeat. But she kept talking about the ships and how he was working on the ships. So of course, I don't have any idea what she's talking about. I go back into the living room. We end up staying a little bit later. Oh, they had something really creepy in his basement too. So as I'm walking out of the kitchen, I forgot about that part. The basement, I went to, like, I could feel it through the closed door, and she says, no, we don't go there. So I'm like, okay, you don't have to tell me twice. So I go out into the living room. The meeting's finished. We stay there. We're one of the last people to leave. And I ask our friend, this is one of those don't think I'm crazy moments, but I'm like, have you ever seen the lady in your house? And he was like, oh my God, the lady in the kitchen? You can see her? So I told him what I saw. He corroborated. He hadn't seen the kids, but he had definitely seen the woman standing at the stove. He would see her when he went into the kitchen. And so I said, what's going on in the basement? And he was like, we don't go down in the basement. I don't know how long he'd lived there, but he said I never go down there. I only go down there if I absolutely have to go down there. So I asked him if he wanted to get rid of what was going down there. We'll do that in a different story. But the woman, so I do some research after the fact, but basically not far from where this man's house is physically located right now, used to actually be the location of a yard where they would make iron girders or something for ships. And the way that they used to do it was the people that worked there really would go there for 1 to 2 weeks at a time, work. They took a train to go back and forth to the work site that was run entirely by the shipyard. So we were able to figure that part out as actual fact. I asked the guy that lived in the house about the gangster guy we had driven through that I was able to tell him around the cross streets were. He was like, and it used to be, word is that it used to be entirely run by the mafia back in about the same time period that I saw the guy with the Gatling gun on the side of the car. So again, it's always nice when we can corroborate some of the things that I see, but that was pretty cool.